Hello. Welcome to the first part of the necromancer's evolutionary traits. A special thanks to my channel members for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this series we see that a really big war is going on. At the grandest kingdom last line of defense Endeavor stronghold. A really big army of monsters is attacking. Soldiers are being overwhelmed by the monster number. Some monsters starts to scale the wall. One of the soldiers says, "Fight with all you have, Endeavor soldiers. Slay every single one of those orcs." A lot of orcs starts to scale the walls and killing the soldiers. Some really bright light appears in the sky. All the orcs starts to see toward that. Orcs goes to berserk after seeing the light. Deputy commander thinks, the orcs have gone berserk. It's now just a matter of time before the south gate falls. Their large number are troublesome. However, the really problem will start when the Orc Lord joins the battle. Since the Orc Lord is different from the previous ones, as he is an aura master. Which means that he can use special aura skills. The orcs have already taken the castle walls. Could this really be the end for us? Stop them. The monster starts to climb down the walls. They says, no matter what happens, protect the castle with your lives. One of the orcs steps on a soldier. All the dead soldiers start to get up. Even the dead soldier under orc's feet grabs the orc. Everyone is really surprised and say, "What is that light?" The corpses are standing back up. All the undead starts to fight orcs. Soldier says, "There's a necromancer." Why is a necromancer? Orc Lord starts to attack as well. Our protagonist is in front of the Orc Lord. He says, defeating you with just normal corpses isn't possible. As expected of an aura master. Our protagonist looks less of a necromancer and more of an assassin. He bring out some more really strong looking undead monsters. He says, it's your turn now. Orc Lord is still killing undead army non-stop. Orc Lord uses a really powerful attack. The skeleton warrior comes from behind the Orc Lord and attack him. Orc Lord dodges the attack. The undead Tiger Man immediately attacks from the front. They both Skeleton Warrior and Tiger Man attacks Orc Lord at the same time. They start to fight. The Tiger Man uses a really powerful attack. Our protagonist is also kill the monsters with a sword. Some thinks, the world is vast. To think that a necromancer with such excellent swordsmanship would be on this battlefield is baffling. A giant undead is also killing a lot of orcs. The fairy monster is also killing the monsters. All the alive soldier are really surprised to see our protagonist's power. They thinks, he managed to turn the tides of the battlefield just by himself. Even though the Empire forbids black magic. Orc Lord gets really excited and says, I never thought mere corpse could force me to a halt. But don't you dare think you can defeat me with just this. Splendid. Our protagonist get in front of Orc Lord and says, finally a usable body. You have the qualifications to become one of my companions. Our protagonist extends his sword. He start to attack Orc Lord. Orc Lord grabs the sword with his aura hand. And jumps to attack. Our protagonist one in hand and leg gets cuts. But in the next moment it is reattached. Orc Lord is surprised to see that and smiles. They both starts to fight. Orc Lord attacks him. His sword hits a lot of bones. Our protagonist can summon the piles of bones to defend himself. Our protagonist thinks, I must become even stronger. Bones starts to come out the ground. And starts to cover his body. He thinks, for the sake of my own survival. And for the sake of those precious to me. His undead army is watching him. He looks really cool in that bone armor. He thinks, and also. Orc Lord gets really excited and says, come great warrior who wishes to change the world. Entertain me in battle one last time. Our protagonist thinks, for me to continue living as Andrea's Cromwell. They both starts to fight. A lot of really big explosions starts to happen. Soldier are really surprised to see him fight. Even his own undead army is really surprised to see his power. Our protagonist's sword is covered with fire. Orc King is also attacking him. Prologue ends here. After that we see Rodlin Academy. The Empire's more prestigious, nurturing academy, where those deemed promising come to learn. While this is where those who are hiding their identities gather. Someone says, hey Andreas. Didn't you say it was here? Andreas is our protagonist. He says, sorry, There are a lot of dead monsters around them. That man says, to think you can't even remember the location of the body you worked on last week. Andreas thinks, we are researchers of the forbidden black magic, necromancers. If someone were to find it out, I would be executed on the spot. That is why I conduct my experiments in secret. That man says, back away, I will now begin. They start the ritual. It fails. He says, let's end it here for today, clean up and then head back up. Andreas thinks, well, I didn't learn anything today either. He starts to clean it up. He thinks, even though it's dangerous doing this, I don't seem to be getting much out of it. But it's not like I can just quit. After all, this is the only place I can read proper books concerning black magic. Sorry for taking so long. That man says, if it takes you half a day just to do the cleanup, when will you be able to do the full job by yourself? Andreas thinks, because you don't teach me anything, I have to learn by myself. He says, I entrusted a simple job to you and you're already that nervous. I won't tolerate another failure. Andreas says, I will do my best. He says, I don't know if I can count on you, but I will give you another chance. Go to the Binhales National Graveyard and bring me another body. Don't forget, I am the one who took you in despite you being an orphan. So you have to constantly prove you are worth living. If you can't, you already know what will happen. Andreas thinks, I will just become another body of his to perform experiments on. He says, so do it well. Now leave. He says, yes, sir. Andreas gets out of there and thinks, he didn't even give me the travel expenses. Other students looks toward Andreas with really surprised look on their face. Andreas says, I'm not some kind of spectacle out of my way. He thinks, I have not the slightest idea of how to get out of this. His full name is Andreas Cromwell, Magic Department 3rd year, untalented. An orphan from a fallen family. A typical man who curries face with the strong and slams the weak. The worst rated of the academy, a third-rate villain. The type of character that nobody wants to play as. But even though I don't want it, I have to keep living as Andreas. He says, I am Makoto Kaneshiro and I am inside the world of great sin. I was a member of the special forces who couldn't adapt to the life of a normal member of society. And for me, the only thing that supported me in my heart was the great sin. So I just forgot about everything and immersed myself in the game. And when I finally managed to clear it on my 12th week, Makoto Kaneshiro, someone who possessed detailed knowledge of my personal information and gaming habits, called me. As I was surprised, I tried to turn off my computer instantly. But without realizing, I turned into a character of the game at a point half a year before the main story would begin. Andrea is a character who was followed by the shadow of death. Why, you ask? Because all the characters go through the same event. They discover Karen's true identity and then kill him. Together with me. So if I don't find a way to get away from Karen before the main story begins, then I won't be able to escape being involved with the main characters. Can I really clear this? I have no choice but get stronger before it begins. The only thing I can count on is the 2 special traits you get for playing 13 weeks. But one of them is random and I got the dual core trait. That makes you able to use both magic and swordsmanship. I doubt that I can survive just focusing on one of them. And that leaves me with the other main trait that I can choose. So I have no choice but to choose one that synergizes the most with my necromancy. He says, chose characteristic. A list of traits appears in front of him. He thinks, seeing it for the first time, there really are a lot to choose from. Chinese Dao. Weapons path, probably not those. First let's look at the ones I haven't seen before. I'm certain I can find the solution in here. The trait evolution. He chooses evolution. He thinks, is the phenomenon that adapts a living creature for it to real higher places. It's a trait I haven't seen before in the game so far. What is really need right now was something that allowed me to outgrow those castle walls and evolutionary development. There's no need to think further. Evolution trait selected. I can finally see it. What kind of future this trait will bring for me. We see him behind the master of a dragon and he is the king of everything. He thinks, in this world, I will definitely survive and clear the game as Andreas. The first part of the necromancer's evolutionary traits ends here. If you want to see more, Please subscribe and like, and if you want to support me financially you can join my channel membership only for $1. Channel membership and Discord links are in the description if you want support me. And a special thanks to all my channel members for supporting me. Thanks for watching.
Hello. Welcome to the second part of the necromancer's evolutionary traits. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see that at Maple Leaf Dormitory Rodland Academy Free Facility, Andreas thinks Andreas was a very minor villain in the game, but seeing it firsthand, he really was so powerless. He can barely use a single elemental magic. My only immediate asset is his necromancy, which is why I chose the evolution trait. I'll stop by the underground research room before I head to the graveyard, since I can't be wasting my time. I need to get stronger as fast as possible, not only for the event. There are countless characters that can kill me besides Sharon. He starts to read some books called Black Magic Introduction. I will become a black mage. Troublesome Black Magic. He thinks, what horrible titles. Each could get me instantly killed if I'm discovered with it. But there's something that can kill me in this room right now. If I'm not mistaken, she is clearly a vampire. The vampires in this game are unfazed by direct sunlight and are beings that are capable of wielding powerful magic. She's not the kind of being that Sharon CNA get his hands on easily. She's probably the equivalent of a mid-game boss. She says, "Hey, won't you help me get out of here?" After that, we see is on a train going to the graveyard. He thinks, frankly speaking, that was tempting. Perhaps it's a godsend gift. She says, "If you let me out, I will kill Sharon. Aren't you afraid that he will kill you someday? How about it?" He thinks, as expected of a vampire, she saw through my caution with Sharon. I haven't been acting like Andreas for a while now, so maybe it was because of that. If I release you, there's no guarantee that you will let me go safely. She says, "I swear it. I won't kill you." He thinks, but would a higher being like her keep a promise with a human? She says, "It's the truth. I swear." He thinks, am I supposed to just believe that? He says, "I'll think about it. If I betray my teacher right away, things would get troublesome." She says, "Hey, there's no time for that. Release me this instant." He thinks, let's try researching more about vampires. Perhaps there is a book about handling them somewhere. The next stop is at the National Graveyard. Right now, we are arriving at the Harfell station. The doors will open on the right side. Andreas is pulling a really big bag. He thinks, this really is the body of a mage. Moni is a think, but for now I have to put up with using physical strength. Here is where the black mages gather their corpses, the National Graveyard. He says, "I've come from Jenny's house. I'm here, third grandson." They ask, "Did you bring flowers?" He says, "I've brought 13 azure sky irises." They says, "Is that so? Come in." There is a man who says, "My hip hurts." He see Andreas and says, "Nice timing. As promised, a knight's corpse. Take it or leave it." Andreas says, "Thank you very much." Andreas starts to pull the knight and says, "Damn, he's heavy." He packs him into a suitcase and says, "Now let's leave before it gets too late." It feels like I've seen that name on the gravestone somewhere before. He thinks, no way. Is this the Aura Master Nicol Liefeld? Someone who spent decades in isolated training following the path of the sword. But even though he dedicated his whole life to the sword and became an Aura Master, at this moment, he died of old age. That was one of the game's Easter eggs. I still wonder why they added that in. But here nobody knows that Nicol became an Aura Master at the end. If I create a Death Knight with this body, of course not even Sharon can create a high-ranking one. But after I evolve, it'll be a whole other story. So I definitely need to find a body with good latent abilities. He says, "Sir Paimon." Paimon says, "Do you want another body?" Either way, it's a no. Got it? You have to get Karen's permission first. Please think of my position here. Andreas says, "What if I trade this ring for one? This ring is engraved with a count's crest. If I sell it, I can make a fortune." Is he really offering it? Andreas says, "I have nothing but this old ring of mine. And as a mage, results matter the most to me. So I will gladly offer it." Paimon says, "Is that so? I will definitely hide it from my teacher, so please take it." Paimon says, "Fine then. I'll give in." Andreas thinks, even though it's the ring of a fallen noble household, it's still irresistible. Andreas says, "Thank you very much, so let's dig up this one then." Wait, that's a tough one. Andreas thinks, the clear future I saw yesterday is finally starting. When I go back, I will start my necromancer training as soon as possible. I'll be in your care, my first subordinate. After that we see Sharon says, it seems like a usable body. Take care of the reagents while I'm gone. And of course, you'll be responsible for the aftermath too. Andreas thinks, I just returned, and he's already ordering me around. I do chores better when I'm annoyed. Perhaps my body instinctively remembers. I say to quickly finish this up, so that I can start studying right away. At my current level, can I really use Nickel's body? With my skill level, a skeleton is the most I can work with for now. It's probably possible to evolve thing with the evolution trait, but I'm not certain because I haven't tried it out yet, and I don't even have money, so I can't practice on another body. Vampire says, hey, how long are you planning to make me wait for? He says, you weren't sleeping? I already said I would kill you. Let me out. Do you really want to live the rest of your life as Karen's assistant? Andreas gets close to her. He thinks, I was waiting for you to talk to me. She says, that's right. Have you finally made up your mind? He thinks, I've always wondered how Sharon even managed to tie you down. But as I read this, I've figured out the answer. She says, what's wrong? Why are you standing there in silence while staring at me? Are you still in doubt? She says, hurry up and make up your mind. Otherwise, I might still kill you even if you release me. He says, I will let you out. I can't stand Sharon anymore. She says, so you've decided. Now remove my restraints. He says, however, you must swear on your family's name that you won't kill me. He thinks, judging by her reaction, the content of the book was true. When a vampire swears on their family's name, they are prohibited from breaking the promise they made. She says, I understand. I swear on Lucifer's name. He thinks, that easy. System says, you have fulfilled the conditions. An evolvable specimen has been detected. Angela Lucifer's evolution probability 55%. He thinks, what? Evolution probability? Just because she swore? System says, evolution. Unique. Targets who accumulate enough experience can evolve from a lower grade to a higher grease. Can be used on all targets that are not hostile. A genetic divergence can occur. Would you like to evolve it? He thinks, seems like I can use it on other entities apart from my summons. This is my chance to test it out before using it on Nickel. He thinks, even if something happened, it's not my fault. She says, what is it? Did you deceive me? He presses yes. She starts to scream with a lot of pain. She says, hey you bastard. What the hell did you? She starts to feel even more pain. He thinks, what the hell is happening to her? He says, hey, vampire. Pull yourself together. Shit, now I don't even know if I succeeded. But I learned one more thing about this trait. Andreas thinks, if I can evolve entities that are not my direct summons, I could certainly evolve my own. So it should be fine to summon Nickel right now. Let's do this. He says, skeleton summoning. System says, basic necromancy skeleton summoning has been activated. One corpse has been detected. Target that is capable of exercising necromancy has been detected. Additional effects have been applied. Andreas thinks, this is the amount of mana needed just to summon one skeleton. A skeleton appears in front of him. System says, basic necromancy skeleton summoning was successful. One skeleton rank legendary has been summoned. Basic necromancy skeleton summoning level has been raised from 1 to 3. System says, the corpse's level is high. Bonus statuses have been applied. The corpse's level is extremely high. Its tier will be raised. It is turned into a skeleton soldier. The corpse's level is transcendent. It can regain a little of its sense of self from the past. He thinks, nice, that was a huge success. It even became a grade higher than a regular skeleton. Skeleton stats window appears saying, skeleton soldier legendary. Nickel Lifil. Undead. Tier 2. Traits, sense of self. Mastery, sword. He thinks, and even its traits. Mastery. It's the state of being at the pinnacle or ultimate stage of proficiency such that there is nothing else beyond. He thinks, it's the only trait that can be attained through effort and growth. But to think that a skeleton possesses it. Andreas says, you really were a sword master when you were still alive, huh? Skeleton uses a hand sign. Andreas says, you will be in my care? He says, I guess the same goes for me. He thinks there's still about a year until Karen's death. If I want to survive, there are a lot of things I need to do. Even if I leave my summoning skill alone, its proficiency is still rising. Anyways, I'll let Nickel out of the room for now. System says, there are currently 1 out of 5 summons in your storage. Would you like to summon 1 skeleton soldier? He says, yes, come out. It'd be bad if someone sees him. Let me dress him up first. Nice. No matter how you look at it. He looks like a human now. It seems like the Easter egg description was true. Andreas says, he died while training and he's still training even though he's dead? It's good for me anyways, since I've finally found a way to cultivate this shit trait of mine. He says, Nickel, won't you teach me swordsmanship? Cromwell Informational Scroll. Great Sin World Overview. In the world of Great Sin, both talents and its rank are important factors. The shorter the name, the stronger the talent is. For example, movement is the highest level of physical abilities there is, as opposed to motion prowess that would be a grade below. Genius, exceptional, extraordinary, ordinary, poor. The second part of the necromancer's evolutionary traits ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching. Hello. Welcome to the third part of the necromancer's evolutionary traits. A special thanks to my Patreon for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see that Skeleton is training Andreas' swordsmanship. He swings the stick and says, like this. Andreas thinks, my body is creaking like crazy. Thank God you taught me how to keep up with a body like this. It's kind of like having a crazy aura master as a teacher. Or should I perhaps say that they're all crazy? If I'm taught correctly, I'll be able to use aura, and in the future, I'll be able to switch between aura and mana, and I won't need to choose just one because I have the dual core trait. I'll be able to walk the path of a magic swordsman since I'll be using both the mana in my heart and my dantian. It'll be hard for me to grow, but if I get past the initial stages, I'll be stronger than anyone. Just like the great Emperor Edmund, the one who founded the empire. Skeleton pinches him. What the hell did you do so suddenly? Skeleton says, focus. Andreas says, how can you grip me so strongly when you're just a pile of bones? Andreas thinks, I was a member of the Special Forces, so physical training is a breeze for me. I'll teach you a lesson or two about guts, Andreas. You skeleton, if you pinch me one more time. After that, we see that he is drinking tea and thinks, since I skipped class today and let Nickel out, how much did my necromancy level up? He thinks about 2 points in 5 hours. It went up a lot faster than I thought. Of course, after reaching beginner grade, it should be a lot slower. He thinks it'll take 200 hours to reach beginner necromancy. Come to think of it, Sharon hasn't called me for a while, has he? The vampire looks the same, so he probably did not find out. It's taking a lot of time for the evolution to finish, so nothing probably went wrong. Nickel is training right beside him. He says, I know that you don't get tired since you're an undead, but you're something else. If I had potions, I could also train while healing myself forever. He thinks of 2 potions. First is Healing Potion. It heals internal injuries and heals fatigue. And second is Regenerating Potion. It heals external wounds and amplifies one's recovery rate. But there's no way a poor person can afford them. If I make them myself, I can probably spend less on the costs of making them, but it's not as easy as in the game. I know the necessary ingredients, but I don't know the specific ratio. So it's better for me to attend some of the classes to fill up my knowledge. He goes to the potion calls. Students there say, why did he come to potion class? Probably to pick up girls. His family's already ruined. What is he even doing here? Andreas thinks, I hear you, you bastards. Endure it. I'm not here to stand out at all. A teacher says, silence, let's start the third lecture. Professor Vauban's class, Intermediary Medicinal Herbalism. Andreas thinks, the contents and events haven't strayed so far. Now just go to the part about the mixing rates, please. Teacher says, the next one we'll be talking about will be the method for making a physical reinforcement potion. I've said before that it's based on mohen leaves and 3 other materials, right? Andreas thinks, the contents of the lecture and my game knowledge aren't matching. Even though it's an intermediary potion, you're teaching a potion with so many side effects? Andreas says, teacher, can I ask you a question? He says, please ask away, Andreas. Andreas asks, why don't you add Hong Pishi extract and moderate root bark? Teacher says, why should I add those in? If you want to add those, then just go ahead and make a soup. Andreas thinks, what I said right now were all the necessary ingredients to make a physical reinforcement potion, so what's with those reactions? Maybe this recipe hasn't been discovered yet? Even though I went through the trouble of going to the class, my knowledge is way better than what I just learned. Maybe it's better for me to study alone, after all. After that, he goes to the Academy Grounds research department. He is trying to make potions, but he is failing again and again. He says, not again. He thinks, even though I know the recipe, what I need right now is a reliable way to make them. Also, the materials cost a lot more than I thought. I'll go broke soon. What if someone helped me? No way anyone would help a trashy person like Andreas. A female student gets there. She says, as expected, Senior Andreas is here. He thinks, shit. Why did a playable character come here? She's the one playable character who's a genius at potion brewing. Lucia Everlast. She shouldn't be close to Andreas, so why is she here? She says, it seems like you've been failing a lot. Andreas thinks, leave her be. If I ignore her, maybe she'll leave. What were you experimenting on? He says, it's a secret. He thinks, even though I went to class and got nothing out of it, my problems keep increasing. She says, you really are bitter, aren't you? Fine. It's not like I thought someone like you would propose something first. She says, Senior. Won't you study with me? Don't you think it's a good idea? There is no need for me to refuse. He says, what do you want? She says, is it weird for me to want a research partner? He says, you don't gain anything out of this. She says, the demand gratitude, nothing less. It seems like you have some kind of talent and could create some amazing things. I look forward to medicines that don't yet exist in this world. He thinks, I was just trying to make medicine for myself. The reason Lucia is so well versed in potions isn't just because she has talent for it. It's because if she doesn't find a way to heal the disease she has, then she'll eventually die because of it. Since even famous doctors and pharmacists couldn't heal her, she had no choice but to study it herself. This disease is a grave one that was granted by the system itself. But if you're not like someone like me, who played the game at tone, you wouldn't be able to find a cure. But for me to meet someone as intelligent as her. As I said, the last thing I need is someone to find my real identity. Looks like she heard what I said in class and needed me because of it. If I just carelessly get myself tangled up with her, my life will just get shorter. Andreas says, I'm not interested. Leave. Peona Mushroom. She says, you didn't say it in class, but don't you need to add that, too? He thinks, the main material that nobody but I should know of. She says, if you add it there, shouldn't you be able to make the potion? I knew intuitively. If you wish, I can help you. Andreas says, you're saying this just because you're Rick. Once you've completed what you came to do, leave. He thinks, I won't give up my life just because of your attractive proposal. She says, fine. I'll give you some time to think about it, since I think you'll change your mind soon. He says, I don't need to think about it. He thinks, even though I won't be worrying about anything, the risks are too high. He starts to train. He thinks, I can find the ratios myself. The problem is the money. As I thought I need a way to make money first. Is there any good idea that comes to mind? Andreas says, you really know when I'm not focusing. After the training ends, I'll have more time to think about it carefully. Is there really no viable way for me to get money? Andreas thinks, the only idea I have right now is to beg my sister for money after she sent that letter saying that she misses me. Isn't this the exact same thing that the previous Andreas did? No matter how much of a scumbag you are, this is not the way to make money. I swear this will be the last time. Another female student sees him and says, Andreas Cromwell? For him to be walking around while carrying a book. Did he finally manage to get the determination to do something? She says, even if he changed, there's no way to fix his trashy personality. He thinks I forgot about it. Diane Alvin, the genius magician and young lady of the Alvin family. Another character who can easily kill me in the academy. We got along pretty well when we were kids, but because the Cromwell family had lots of debt to pay, we eventually grew apart. Andreas did some pretty bad things since then, so she would probably kill me just by me talking to her. Either way, my dying wouldn't be weird at all. As I thought, asking my younger sister for money is the best option right now. After that, we see the capital Rodlin. Andres says, it should be around here. Someone says, you've come, Andreas. I sent so many letters, but you didn't answer any of them. What happened? He says, I'm sorry for making you have to work, Emmy, even though you're a lady of accounts household. She says, it's not like you to say something like this. It's not your fault anyway. She is Amy Cromwell, and Dyras's younger sister. She says, why are you making such a serious face? Do you need more money again? She brings out an envelope and says, I thought about it and prepared some for you. She says, you can't spend it carelessly, okay? He says, thank you, Amy. I'll definitely pay you back. Where's your ring, Andreas? He says, the engraved ring? I took it off so I wouldn't lose it. She says, you're taking good care of it, right? He thinks, I can't say the truth to her. She says, you didn't do it, did you? No matter what, you shouldn't have. He says, I'm sorry. She says, get out. I don't want to see you anymore. He says, wait. She says, don't come here. You don't have to pay me back anymore. He says, I'll get it back. He thinks it must have been a really important item for her. It's my first time seeing Amy so angry. What's this miserable feeling? I have to get that ring back as soon as possible. What meaning is there in life when you're simply existing? I wasn't happy when I survived alone back there either. I'll have to make it with what I got. I'll accept Lucia's proposal. The third part of the necromancer's evolutionary traits ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching. Hello. Welcome to the third part of the necromancer's evolutionary traits. A special thanks to my channel members for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see that at Potion Manufacturer Experiment Report, someone says, hey, you get up and run a little. You've stayed like this for a whole week inside your room like a neat. Only idiots do those things. Andrea says, Lucia's also lazying around today while I'm pushing myself. Using your spare time to train and do experiments is pretty tiresome. But sometimes, she switches up and helps in making things go faster. Lucia is sleeping. Audrey's is calling her and says, why do I feel like I am the only one working here? She says, you're imagining things. Andrea thinks, she always makes me mad. She says, instead of doing nothing, decrease the amount of moderate and increase the amount of Todor's tree essence. He says, got it. Andrea thinks her intuition is really precise, and sometimes, she even gets into the heart of the problem. I'm doing this because of the money, but working together really was the best answer. Audrey's is mixing stuff together. System says, you have manufactured a physical reinforcement potion intermediary grade. Audrey starts to laugh. She says, what happened? Did you fail again? He says, it worked. Andrea says, I know it's really sudden, but the potion experiment report ends here. System says, talent potion brewing buff type ordinary has been acquired. Conditions have been met. Andrea says, I got a new talent? System says, Andrea's Cromwell's talent, evolution probability of buff type ordinary grade potion brewing is 32% evolve. He thinks, what the hell does this mean? So I can also evolve traits? Does that mean I can basically evolve anything if the conditions are fulfilled? 32% the value. It's even lower than the when I evolved the vampire. This is incredible. There are basically no side effects. Anyway, let's save it for now. She says, it can even be used daily. Let's go make a request to the potion examination committee right away. Audrey says, you can do this part since I've basically done all the work so far. She says, I'm gonna be busy with my midterm starting tomorrow, right? But since you made it easy for me, I will take care of it for you. He says, so you were slacking off on purpose. System window appears saying, Angela Lucifer evolving. Remaining time, 14 days 21 hours 33 minutes. Angela thinks, what the hell did I do? My whole body's burning and in pain. But I feel like there's something more to this pain. After that, we see an instructor says, when we reach the midterms evaluation spot, please gather so that we can explain how it's going to work. Andrea thinks, if it's Lucia, she can easily pass the first examination. After that, there's the magic tower, where the last part is done. I've been training a lot, so my swordsmanship and necromancy has increased considerably. It's fine as long as I manage to pass the midterms. And the vampire evolution is about to finish, so I could probably check up on her. If I give an excuse when I go back, it'll probably fine for me to check on her. A girl says, hey, Diane, what do you think the midterms will be about this time? The request and the group members will be random, right? If you're lucky, it'll be a breeze. Diane says, I wonder no matter who I get paired with, it shouldn't matter. She says, but it's not that simple. What if you get into the same group as him? Instructor says, in 1 minute, we will be arriving at Auckland training station. He says, everyone get off. They get off the train and instructor says, as stated previously, the third year's midterm exams will be a group test with random members. Each group will be composed of 3 students from the warrior department, 1 student from the magic department, and a supervisor. The group will have until Monday to complete the approved task. I wish luck to everyone participating. Then, let's start announcing the groups. Audrius thinks, shit. In the academy, there are countless villains besides me and Sharon. And just in this exam, 2 are in my group. First one is a player who fought the cult fanatic Hazar Gapri. And the other is the academy's indiscriminating murderer, Vivian the lunatic. Why am I in the same group as them? Even my luck is that of a trashy characters? Someone says, hey, you saw the photos, right? I'm Christopher. I'm in the same group as you. Nice to meet you. Seems like you're training like a warrior, even though you're a magician. You disgust me. Don't get in my way. Hazar says, hello, my name is Hazar Gapri. And I think being an unfriendly warrior is a big problem. Andreas thinks, here comes the fanatic. Vivian Belkin tells them his name. Andreas thinks, crazy guys. Christopher says, who are you saying isn't sociable? Andreas thinks, they're even a mob like Knight in this group. They says, so you're saying I should leave a magician copying the warrior's training style alone? I'm fine with it since everyone should get a little bit of physical exercise anyway. Andreas thinks, don't fight, you idiots. They're not the only problem in this group. Why do we also have a Yankee for a supervisor? This is the worst group ever. Instructor says, when all the group members are gathered, the group can go get its request. Everyone please try to come back alive. Andreas thinks, coming back with this group? They are riding a train. Supervisor says, I'll formally introduce myself. I'm Ivy Claire, the supervisor of Group 9. Here's what our group has been tasked with. Look over it carefully. Investigate a village in Baron Bollaric's territory. There's a rumor that the landlord of the village of Thrym has been murdered. We sent an investigator 2 weeks ago, but he has also disappeared. We are therefore requesting an investigation be conducted by the Mercenary Guild. She say, any questions? Andreas thinks she's much more aggressive compared to the gang. Ivy Claire. Apart from becoming the youngest Aura Master in the near future, no more information is known about her character. Her skill is real, but I'm afraid her personality will make things difficult. Ivy says, I heard that Seaweed Head over there tried playing a knight recently. A mage like you? What a joke. Can you even lift? Andreas says, I don't want to hear that from someone who need to chew on jerky to keep her cool. She says, I can't smoke here. Do you want me to chew on you instead? He thinks, please arrive soon. They reach their destination. Bollaric says, you've come a long way, welcome. It is a shame that this incident has happened, but I'll briefly explain the situation to you. The landlord of Thrym Village is my nephew. He was a baronet, but he had no family. That's all the information I know. Ivy says, thank you for the details. Servant comes and says, my lord. The young master is. Andrea sees them talking. Bollaric gets up and says, I have to attend to something, so if you'll excuse me first, best of luck to you all. Servant says, forgive our rudeness. The young master is unwell. Ivy says, it's all right. We've gotten all of the needed details. We'll be leaving soon. Andrea sees the servant. They come out and Ivy says, good job watching over the equipment. She says, he sure is calm even though his nephew is missing. He reeks. Hey, Seaweed Head, is that why you insisted for us to depart immediately today? Andrea says, yes, there were many things seemed suspicious, especially the part about the missing investigators who lost contact. It sounded like a fabricated story. And it's also odd that they only sent an investigator once, even though a month had passed. But the most suspicious thing was the butler's attitude. Butler says, if you leave now, you will probably reach there by nightfall. It would be better for you to rest up for today and leave tomorrow. Ivy says, I appreciate your concern, but no, thank you. Our job comes first. Andrea says, after we refused to stay, he looked as if his plan had failed. Above all, they looked anxious. They're trembling, their breathing and behavior, down to even their slightest gesture. It's clearly how someone would behave if they were hiding something. Ivy says, all right, let's head for Thrym Village right away. Andreas thinks, This request, there's definitely more to it. Christopher says, should we get a place to stay first when we arrive? Ivy says, no, the investigation takes precedence. Let's start by investigating the landlord's castle. First, Andreas thinks the whole thing is suspicious, but all we can do for now is to check it out directly. Andreas feels something and thinks, what? My mana has suddenly started to shake. It's getting stronger the closer we get to the village. What's going on? Something happens. Hazar says, hey, coach. Christopher says, move. He says, oi. What are? Coach is acting like a crazy man. And even horses are going crazy. They're going really fast. Christopher says, Hazar, something's wrong with the coach. He says, what's wrong? Ivy breaks the door. She sees something and says, damn it. It's too late. Everyone brace for impact. We're going to crash into the main gate. They get crashed into the gate. Everyone in the village is dancing. Like madmans. They come out of the carriage. Christopher says, oi, big head, what's going on here? What's wrong with the villagers? A mage like you should know. Andreas thinks, that settles it. This is more than just a mana anomaly. The fact that my mana is reacting means it's black magic. The fourth part of the necromancer's evolutionary traits ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching. Hello. Welcome to the fifth part of the necromancer's evolutionary traits. A special thanks to my channel members for supporting me. And if you want to support, you can join my channel membership or Patreon for as low as $1. Thank you very much. Let's begin. At the beginning of this part, we see that they grab a child. Vivian thinks this is not the strength of a normal kid. Hazar says, since he was dancing for the whole day, his feet are really worn out. Just as I thought, it's a curse. So there is a connection between our request and the curse, right? Christopher says, the landlord has been gone for about a month. If they've been dancing since then, they should. VE died from exhaustion a long time ago. Andreas says, it seems like there's someone taking care of them so that they don't die. We probably got dragged into something troublesome. Andreas thinks Andreas didn't die here in the game. If we had taken the butler's suggestion and rested in the castle, the Baron would have covered this up. But since we came to the village instantly, the situation changed. We've got dragged into a dangerous situation. The mana I felt is at about the same level as Karen's. But to be able to use it on such a large scale seems weird. Andreas realizes something and thinks, no way. Does he have an artifact? Christopher says, hey, big head, what's wrong? We have way too few clues right now. Let's search the landlord's house first. The first step is collecting information. After that, they go back to the landlord's house. There are some people are burning out of the house. They breaks the door and goes inside. There are a lot of people dead inside the house. Christopher sees one of them and says, those clothes, aren't they from the Empire investigation team? It seems like a long time has passed since they died. Andreas says, perhaps we won't be able to solve this ourselves. Based on everything so far, I think that this is the work of a black mage. Ivy says, on what grounds? He says, it feels like someone is amplifying the emotions of the people here and exchanging them for magic power. Ivy says, the driving force of black magic is human emotions, after all. So the landlord was probably also killed. Perhaps, because he would have obstructed them. Christopher says, so those burning bodies outside are part of black magic ritual? Andreas says, maybe. Ivy says, we will know the truth eventually after capturing those criminals. So let's search every part of the mansion first. They start to look around. The whole mansion is a mess. Hazar says, we haven't found anything so far, not even the landlord's corpse. Vivian says, Hazar, look outside. They look outside. All people are coming from the village. Andreas thinks, the perpetrator is finally moving. They say, what do we do? It seems like they noticed us. It's as if they were waiting for us to enter the building. Supervisor Ivy, what do we do? She says, let's stop the search for now and leave the building. Hazar, go find an escape route. Hazar starts to run and says, yes. There are a lot of people blocking the way. Hazar says, they are already on the second floor. All of the zombies attack him. Christopher barely blocks them. He says, go protect the mage at the back. I will take care of the front. A really big explosion happens. Christopher goes flying towards the Andreas because of the explosion. Andreas is really surprised Christopher is injured badly. He says, Christopher. Hey, Christopher. She says, they are still coming. He's Seaweed Head. What are you doing? Let's get out of here. Vivian, the window. She breaks the window, and they jump out. Ivy is holding Andreas on her back and Hazar is holding Christopher. Village men are still following them. Andreas wakes up and thinks, I got a flashback from my last operation just now of all times. He uses grease and Earth's shield. Ivy says, what is it with you? Do you think you are alone? Don't use up your mana recklessly. Can you track the Black Mage's location right now? He says, I think I can if I do it right now. Since he's using his mana so blatantly, I will find him easily. He activates Mana Detect. He finds him. He says, they're at the house at our 9 o'clock, about 100 meters away. Ivy says, well done, Seaweed Head. Supervisor Ivy, please wait. Black Mage sees them. Ivy breaks the door and goes inside. She says, looks like we're right on the money. This could be where the Black Mage is hiding. A barrier appears. She is trapped inside the house. She says, damn it, they tricked us. One of the village women is there and she says, sister. It hurts. She thinks no. Andreas is trying to break the barrier and says, it's beyond my power. Black Mage says, how pitiful. Andreas think, what? Black Mage says, just like a moth to flames. A barrier appears above the whole village. Black Magic says, there's no rush. Everything was ordained by God. Kneel in the name of Sloth. He thinks, Sloth? Why is that name appearing now? The title of the game is Great Sin Peccata. Starting with Sloth, the 7 deadly sins were spit off from the main body, the Codex Apocalypse. And by collecting all of them, you can summon the last boss. He thinks they are the most important item for the story. Why is that name mentioned here in the countryside which doesn't even appear in the main story? I can't do this by myself. I have to join up with the others for now. Vivian cuts down a lot of them. She goes mad as well. Andreas comes running and says, Hazar? What happened to Vivian? Hazar says, Andreas. You are safe. This is the first time I'm seeing her like that. Andreas thinks, right. I knew I couldn't trust a zealot. But leaving a wounded ally to fend for themselves, I can't say I like it. But, well, I'll play along. It's a disaster. Supervisor Ivy got trapped inside a barrier. What? Hazar says, what should we do, then? Andreas is still hearing the voice in his head saying, how pitiful. Do you realize that you are killing innocent villagers? Hazar says, this voice. It's probably the Black Mage. They're probably near Supervisor Ivy. She's in danger. I'm going over to her. I'll leave the other to you. Andreas says, he's just too obvious. I guess it's better than getting betrayed. Vivian is killing them. Andreas says, not good. Looks like the dark magic is driving her insane. If I make a wrong move, I'll get dragged in. She can't avoid that one. She stabs 2 of them. Andreas says, no way. He says, not only did she avoid it, she even counterattacked. Someone says, it's a shame. It couldn't be material to squander like that. Black Mage says, so what now? The only unharmed one has fled. Andreas says, I don't care. I wasn't expecting anything from him anyway. Black Mage says, you're remarkably calm. Andreas says, I thought it was about time for the boss to show up. Black Mage says, I don't know where you got that confidence from, but in recognition of your bravery, I'll be giving you a test as well. Crap, I was careless. He is standing inside a void. He starts to disappear and says, what's going on? He thinks, damn it. What was I dreaming? He is in between a modern war and thinks, where's everyone? He sees a man burning. That man says, Makoto, run. He thinks, Shohei? He runs towards him. He is Andrea's father from the game. Andreas is really surprised to see him. The 5th part of the Necromancer's evolutionary traits ends here. If you want to see more, please subscribe and like. And if you want to support me financially, you can join my channel membership or Patreon only for $1. Patreon and Discord links are in the description if you want to support me. And a special thanks to all my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks for watching.